6 weeks into her training, we're going to see how Nala's getting on. Hi, my name's Charlie Thorburn. Welcome to Mordor Gun Dogs. This is Nala. Nala's a golden retriever who's come over from Switzerland for a bit of residential training. We did a video of her 6 weeks ago, and she was pulling on a lead, running off, generally not being a very biddable little dog. We're going to show you how far we've got, how we've got there, and where we're going next. So let's go. So Nala here arrived 6 weeks ago for residential training. She was pulling me around on a lead. When she was off a lead, she wasn't coming back. If you threw a ball for her, she'd run away with it. She was a nice, sweet little dog, but she generally was a little bit feral and didn't really have any manners. So we're going to show you how she's got on, how we've got to where we are now, and where we're planning on taking her to. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just do a little bit of heel work. Sit. Heel. So you can see her like every other dog that you see on our on any of our videos who's learnt to walk to heel. You can see that nice loose lead. We're trying to achieve this really relaxed loose lead so that it doesn't make any difference to her whether it's on or off. Hey, Nala, heel. So I say her name, I get her to look at me, and she comes with me. If I go a bit quicker, she keeps up with me. If I turn around, if I stop, she sits down and pays attention. So we've very much got her focus, heel, and sit. We've very much got her focus and her looking and paying attention to us. But want to do a sit and a stay. Never turn your back on a young dog. We want to watch them all the time. The reason we want to watch them all the time is if she starts to get it wrong, I can go back and correct her very quickly. If I turn around this way, I've got no idea what she's doing. So it's about putting yourself in a position to make sure that the dog's getting it right and that you're there to correct it as soon as it goes wrong. Heel. So if you saw the video of her before, she was, when she was off the lead, she was rather prone to not coming back. She would stay about 30 or 40 yards away from me and not come back, and we had to kind of rugby tackle her to get hold of her. So how did we overcome that? We overcame that with this particular dog with a long line, okay? Now, this is a 15-foot sort of rubbery rope thing. The reason, I don't know why it's orange, so you can't miss it, I guess, but it doesn't matter what it is. You could use some sort of climbing rope or anything, but you can get these from Muntjac Trading, where we get all of our kit from. Nala. Now, none of our dogs wear a collar, but we use a collar when we're using one of these lines, just because we've got to clip it to something. Sit. Good girl. So the first thing is just getting her used to that long line. Heel. So we put the long line on, and she walks around with it, trailing it along behind her. Come on, Nala. Good girl. Good girl. Sit. She does all the usual things that you would do without the long line. So she walks to heel, she sits, we unclip the lead, we walk away. So we're doing all the things that we were doing before. Heel, Nala, heel. We then do heeling off the lead. She's still on this line, but I've got the lead here, so she's walking along to heel, Nala, heel, nicely with the line on. So what's the purpose of all this? This is like my extended arm. It's so that I can be like Stretch Armstrong. So if the dog gets too far, I can just reach forward and get hold of them. Obviously, my arm length is only so much. Sit. But if I've got her on a long line, then my arm length is to there, or I can just go and stand on the line. Now, I've seen people using these long lines, and they walk along with them like they're a lead, and the dog's at full stretch, just towing them along like they're towing them along on a slip lead. That's not the purpose of them. We're never holding on to these long lines. We're always just, Nala, come on, Nala. The lead's always loose. We're always letting the dog just have the lead trailing along behind them. Nala, come here. And we're doing lots of recall and lots of encouraging her to come back. Sit. But we've always got that long line there just in case it doesn't work. So what do we do if it doesn't work? Well, if it doesn't work, sit. Sit. If it doesn't work, we've got the ability to stand on the end of the line and then just go, Nala, come here, and just reel her in until we've got her, okay? And as soon as she's with us, we praise her and tell her what a good girl she is. People say to me, well, what happens, Nala, what happens if she's 40 or 50 yards away? The answer is we don't let her get 40 or 50 yards away. Sit. We let her get the length of the lead, so I call her back when she's that far away. Now, when she's doing it really well, we start allowing her to go a little bit further away from us, because we've still only got to get to there. We don't have to get all the way over to here. And I'm sure some of you have had a problem with your dog where you get close to them, and just as you get close to them, they dart off, and just as you get close to them again, they dart off again. And it's always that point, just as you're about here, that you can't catch them. When you're walking towards them, generally dogs are like, oh yeah, here he comes, here he comes, here he comes. And as they get to here, to get hold of the dog's collar, the dog jumps off and does its own thing. So the long line just mitigates that problem, saves you having any issues. Nala, here. Sit. Out. It's the same with the retrieve, okay? Nala, come here. Good girl. When we're first doing the retrieve with her, we only do the retrieve the length We only do the retrieve the length the line is away from us. So we sit her down. I can even just stand on the lead, throw it out, send her for it. She picks it up. Now, if she doesn't bring it back, we just give her a little tug on the lead and we just reel her in like a fish. And then when she's here, we're telling her what a good girl she is, okay? And I've not taken it off her. She's got it in her mouth, and so she's enjoying the process of being next to me with the ball. And then when I go to take it, sit. I ask her to sit, and I always just have the ball behind my back or in my pocket. If I keep it waving around her head, she's going to jump up and mess around with it. Heel. Now, she's done a couple of retrieves, so we don't want to make it all just fun, retrieve. So we then do a bit more heeling again. Sit. Heel. Nala, heel. Good girl. Sit. Bit more sitting and staying, so it's a little bit of fun, a little bit of obedience. Little bit of fun, little bit of obedience. So we're always kind of rewarding a bit of obedience with doing something fun, because we don't want to make the dog bored. We don't want them to go, oh God, we're going out training again. It's so boring. Okay? We've all had teachers at school who are like, oh, they're so boring. Their class is so boring. And we've also had teachers at school who are awesome. Oh, we want to go to their class because it's fun and they want to be there. They want to learn. We're trying to be the fun teacher all the time. We can't just be the fun person. Okay, we can't just be like, oh, I love hanging out with him. He's just great fun. We don't actually achieve anything, but we just have a great time. That's pointless. We've got to have a good balance between the two. So people ask, well, at what point do you know when to take the lead off, the long line off? You know when to take it off when the dog you never need to use it. And just now you saw me having to use the long line with the retrieve for Nala. So if I hadn't had the long line on, she might have just gone off to see Ian or messed around. So maybe with retrieving, she's just not quite ready. But what we're going to do is we're going to take it off, sit, and try doing some work which isn't retrieving and see how we get on. Sit, Nala. Heel. Now, because I've been out in this bit of grass here, heel, for 10 minutes with her already, and I've done some heeling on the lead, some heeling on the long line, she's kind of got into the mindset of walking to heel. Heel. She's kind of not even thinking that the line's not attached anymore. Heel. Good girl. Heel. She's just being a good little girl. Sit. Listening, watching, paying attention. We're just going step by step, step by step. If we suddenly went into an environment where there was loads of other people and other dogs, I'd probably clip her back on a long line because I don't want her to get it wrong. And I'd see how she did with the long line on. And if I felt like she did really well, perfectly, never put her foot wrong, I then might go, oh, well, we'll try it with the long line off. But we're always just trying to add a little bit more temptation, but keep ourselves in full control. Nala. So we're going to give her one more retrieve. Sit. Out. She's Nala, little bit of sieve brainness going on. Nala, here, where is it? Good. Nala, Nala. Nala. Nala, come here. Come on. Come on. Come here. So she's having a little bit of a moment out here. Hey, 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 hey. She's having a little bit of a moment out here, having a bit too much fun and messing around. Nala. Come here, sit. Sit. Nala. So we repeat the whole thing again, make sure she sees it. She's just having a little bit of a She's having a little bit of a golden retriever moment. So this is just the reality of training dogs. She's not running away from me like she was a month ago. But having done 2 or 3 nice retrieves, she's just suddenly gone, oh, I'm going to be blonde and a bit goofy and run around like an idiot. Just what happens. So what do I do now? If I keep throwing it and she keeps ignoring it, keeps messing around, that's just compounding the problem. It's getting worse. She's certainly not improving. So I've got 2 options. One option is to think, right, if I do any more retrieving, maybe she's gone off the boil completely. Maybe she's not going to do any more. That's an assessment I have to make myself, just knowing the dog and knowing the situation. But I think probably, Nala, come here. If I pop her back on her long line and do a retrieve on this again, we might have a better chance of, good girl. So I'm going to let her just run in for it. Good girl. Good girl. Backing away, getting her to come to me, not using the line, but I've got it there as a backup. And just that simple action of putting the line back on her has meant that she's done a nice delivery to me, nice retrieve, nice delivery, and it's all worked. So the question is, I guess, is why? Why is she doing that, and how do we sort it out? This dog's had a year of being naughty, basically. Living in her house in Switzerland, cruising around, basically doing, within reason, what the bloody hell she likes. She's come here to learn how to be better. She's massively improved. She's walking to heel on the lead, off the lead. She's retrieving to hand when she's got the long line on. She's also retrieving to hand sometimes when she's not got the long line on, but today she's having a little bit of a backward step. So whenever we have a backward step in our training, we have a backward step in our method. So we go back to what we were doing when she wasn't being so good. And what with her, in her case, what we were doing was using the long line. So we just pop her back on the long line, create a setup where we get success, and we would then look tomorrow to do a couple more retrieves on the long line, and then we would try another one off the long line. And we're just drip feeding that little bit of freedom. We're drip feeding, drip feeding, drip feeding. But you can see when she was off the lead, even when she was messing around, she wasn't trying to run away from me anymore. She wasn't trying to sort of scoot off down there. She wasn't, when I went over there to put the lead on her, she wasn't avoiding me. She wasn't like, oh, what are you going to do? I'm going to be caught. She just accepted that she was going to have the lead put on. So from that point of view, we've made massive progress, but there's obviously still a little bit of work to do. And this is partly the reality of training a dog is even with us in like 5 weeks, 6 weeks that she's been here, obviously the first week's really just her getting used to us and getting to know us. So the training doesn't really kick in for about a week. So she's had 5 solid weeks of training. She's had a few days off this week because I've been away, and she's just having a little swagger, a little bit of a messing around. And I guess it's helpful for you guys to see that you can put in a really intensive bit of training, or you can send them to us for really intensive training. It doesn't mean they're tick box done. The really good dogs that you've seen on our videos, and maybe some of you have seen in person, or maybe some of you got, those are dogs that we've trained from day one. We sell them at a year and a half, 2 years old. The reason they don't do any of this stuff is because they've never done it, okay? What we're trying to do here is what we call corrective training. You know, this is a dog that's done the wrong thing. We're trying to teach them that that's wrong, and we're also trying to teach them to do the right thing. It's not going to just happen like that. It's about that repeat, rinse and repeat, going over and over and over it until the dog just simply has forgotten about their former life and only knows their new life. And you can see with Nala, she's probably forgotten 50, 60% of her former life, but she's still jumping up at me a little bit. She's still being a bit cheeky. There's still elements of it there. So we want to just keep going and keep going. Now, luckily, Nala's owners are away a lot over the summer, so they're happy to leave her here. She was always going to stay for about 4 months. So by the end of the 4 months, you know, this long line will be long forgotten. It'll be hanging up in the kennels, or it'll be with another dog. Nala won't be involved in that at all. Her jumping up, her retrieving, etc. will all be, you know, pretty spot on. She'll have matured as well as having lots more training. So a combination of all those things is where we're heading. So where are we hoping to be with Nala next time we do a video? Basically, the lead is going to be a non-existent event. We might pop the lead on her just when we're near a road or something, but most of the time she'll just be off the lead. Her default position will be at my heel, not over there. So naturally she'll just want to be next to me all the time. That's the hope. Her sit and stay is pretty good now. It'll be even better. She'll be able to sit and stay with distractions and other dogs, and she'll be totally steady to retrieve. I will be throwing a retrieve that way, throwing one that way. She'll just sit and watch them all. And her recall and her sitting on the whistle her recall will be pretty good, and her sitting on the whistle will be much advanced as well. So to summarize what we've done, we've taken a dog that you've seen in a video before who was hauling me around on the yard on the lead, hanging about 40-50 yards away from me, not coming back. As soon as she picked something up, she'd run away with it. And we've sort of flipped all these things on their head, and we've got a dog now who wants to be with us, walks to heel nicely, loose lead, on the lead, loose, nice close position off the lead. Retrieving a ball to hand most of the time, still work to be done, and recall most of the time, but still work to be done. I hope this helps. I hope you've seen some progress, and I hope you've learned something from little Nala. And I hope you've also learned that it doesn't just happen overnight. You can't just train a dog in a weekend. We do get people who are like, oh, can I drop my dog off for a weekend and you train it? And you're like, yeah, because my magic wand, I think I left my magic wand in the other car. I'm really sorry. You have to bring it next weekend and I'll be able to wave my wand then. It's not how it works. It's about time and repeating it, more time and more repeating it. And you've got to put that time in, and you've got to put it in a way that you're also not backtracking by letting them get away with murder. You can't go out and do training 1 minute and then go to the park the next minute and let them just run around like, you know, like Free Willy and Forrest Gump. You know, they've got to be in this controlled environment until they break out of this naughty behavior and just start living in the good behavior. I hope this helps. Remember, you get out what you put in, and we've certainly been putting in quite a lot of effort with Nala, and she's hopefully getting a lot out of it. And we'll see you all next time.